Well, is there a paradigm shift getting ready to happen or what? Welcome, folks. I am Jay. This is the ghost with the most, the coolest co-host, Dead Bob. And we are properly paranoid. We got tons of stuff to go over. I'm talking tons of stuff other than the main topic. First, Section 1652 of the NDAA. Paradigm shift? Letdown? This is the establishment of office to address unidentified aerial phenomenon. So what happened, folks, is like a last minute add-in was Section 1652. I'm not going to read all of it, but one of the requirements is they want annual reports can't be any later than December 31st to 2022. But the cool thing is they want them annually thereafter until December 31st, 2026. Pretty cool. This is groundbreaking, man. This is like historical. But the only thing that's, running on the news right now is that Jussie Smollett got, guilty of 5 counts, which he should be. But, this is historical. This is absolutely historical. And you haven't heard one mention of it on the national news. That is strange. Or it just shows how, our priorities are so just ass backward in this country. And I've got some other stuff here that's just insane, and nobody's talking about it. Nobody in mainstream media is talking. First, I want to read you this article here, not the whole thing, bits and pieces of it, from military.com. And it is about the new office that might, because it still has to get through the Senate, and good old Biden's got to sign it. So I'm going to read you this, and it gives kind of a little bit of insight of what this new office is going to do. So here we go. Teams of Pentagon and intelligence community experts would rapidly respond to military UFO sightings and conduct field investigations under the newly unveiled defense legislation set to pass Congress. Lawmakers also want scientific and technical experts to analyze data about the objects, or what the military calls UAPs, as well as any recovered materials or medical effects, according to the text of the annual Defense Authorization Bill. This bill requires all the findings to be collected under a new joint UAP office and delivered to Congress in annual reports and biannual briefings to defense committees, marking the most significant UFO legislation ever passed. And do you think that's a headline in the news? Nope. Go down here and we have some of the members of the House of Representatives talking about it, and they say protecting our national security interests means knowing who and what are flying in the United States airspace. That comes from Representative Ruben Gallego. He's the Democratic representative out of Arizona. He was a sponsor on the legislation. Right now, our system of tracking and identifying UAPs is scattered throughout the Department of Defense and other departments and agencies in the federal government. So what they're trying to do, folks, is they're really trying to get all the data collected, have it in one place, and have it, hearings about it in Congress. People are starting to ask questions. The right people now, the people we elect to ask questions for us. They're finally asking the right ones. They're not worried about, whose slush fund is getting bigger, or, putting billions of dollars into a bill so they could have a park built next to their home. There, Miss Pelosi. Anyway, Congress also wants the Pentagon and intelligence community to create a science plan to understand UAPs that exceed the known state of the art in science or technology. Interesting. The bill says the information could be used to justify requests for funding in the future to replicate any such advanced characteristics and performance, or reverse engineer the UAPs. That is the specific language used in this, folks. Interesting. Military is set to embark on a new study of flying objects, but the defense bill makes clear it will not be on the Pentagon's own terms. Interesting there. And that much of the findings will be shared with Congress. The ODNI, which is the Office Department of National Intelligence, report concluded that the UAP could pose a national security threat. Here we go with the threat narrative. Additional rigorous analysis are necessary by multiple teams or groups of technical experts to determine the nature and validity of these data. That's what they say. Should have been of the data. We'll be as transparent as we can, but no, I don't want to leave you with the impression that there'll be a sort of a regular drumbeat of, some kind of report that gets posted on a website, every couple of months. Pentagon spokesman John Kirby said when asked whether any UAP findings would be publicly released. So, the Pentagon is already trying to play hardball. And what Congress did was give them a big... They said, we want to know. This is important. Really? It's important? I mean, guys, this has been a fight for a long time. And you got to look at the tons of people that have been laughed at, ridiculed, lost jobs, made fun of, bullied, killed, witnesses, abductees, people who may or may not have recovered crashed discs when they were in the military. Interesting. Oh, have the times have changed. But I'm going to tell you, I don't think we're going to get anywhere with it. I don't. I think the only way disclosure is going to happen is through the people. It's going to be through the people. Yeah, one country or another might try to jump ahead of the curve, and maybe through domestic spying or something, they know that, a group of citizens have finally done it. They finally have answered one of the greatest questions in human history. Are we alone? And they might come out and say, yeah, we're not alone. Yeah, blah, 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 blah. It's going to have to come from the people. Plain and simple. Because if you listen to the language of the Pentagon spokesman, Mr. Kirby, they are still going to keep this thing under lock and key no matter what. But the problem is congressional hearings. These guys will be hauled in front of Congress, and they will be forced. Or, they could face jail time. I think what they're trying to do, they're trying to prevent people from getting in trouble, maybe. Maybe certain people who held this secret did some illegal things regarding this secret. And we'll get into more of that later. We're going to do a whole show on it. There's a lot here, folks. This isn't just as easy as coming out and saying, nope, we're not alone. There's tons of freaking aliens visiting us, interdimensional beings coming from here, there, everywhere. And, yep, it's happening. They can't do that, guys. I mean, we got to get real. There has to be a process to it. It has to be a slow burn. The only thing that just baffles me is the tech. The technology that we could be using to have a better life. It would make the world better. But, our mentality is, not that way. We're a greedy, violent species that, cares more about the self before others, if you get what I mean. Let's go on to this awesome news. And see, this story was not on the news. But before I get to that, before I get off topic here, we're going to talk about this other part of the bill. The science plan. This is real interesting. This goes into, have we back engineered stuff previously? Because they're just now putting it in bills. This statement here in the bill is very interesting. I'm going to read this to you, and you guys can make up your own minds. F, science plan. The head of the office established under subsection A on behalf of the secretary and the director shall supervise the development and execution of a science plan to develop and test as practical scientific theories to 1. Account for characteristics and performance of unidentified aerial phenomena that exceed the known state of the art in science or technology, including in the areas of propulsion, aerodynamic control, signature structures, materials, sensors, countermeasures, weapons, electronics, and power generation. And 2, provide the foundation for potential future investments to replicate any such advanced characteristics and performance. One theory I have, guys, is they're going to start doing this stuff, putting it in the bills for the public to see because we're not talking about it for funding. For funding. Now, they won't have to hide it in some secret black project with black money. They can't, whatever. And it's real hard to do. Now, they could just include it into a bill and say, oh, we don't know what they are. We don't know where they're coming from. We're never going to know, but we need money. Think about it. That's why we're never going to get an answer. This is all about, just like everything else, the dollar bill. And there was some language used in here where it says, and to have dialogue with other nations about the UAP problem. Again, I thought that this could be some sort of a counterintelligence operation to see what other nations have, which still could be. But I really think this is all about funding. They don't have to hide the funding no more. They could do so much with this. All they got to do is say, we don't know what it is, but here's the science plan. How much money do you need? And the language is used. It says, show us the data, show what these things can do. All right, and it's showing them defy the law of physics to go here, go there, and do things that are incredible, almost magical. And then they include this part in the bill. Hey, we'll give you money if you can replicate it. And it doesn't have to be hid anymore. I mean, this is genius stuff here, guys. Absolute genius stuff. Absolute. But let's go into more genius stuff. This story came out a couple days ago, and this is just incredible. DARPA-funded researchers accidentally create the world's first warp bubble. Warp drive pioneer and former NASA warp drive specialist, I can't speak tonight, Dr. Harold G. Sony White, has reported the successful manifestation of an actual real-world warp bubble. And according to White, the first of its kind, it's a breakthrough by his Limitless Space Institute. The team set a new starting point for those trying to manufacture a full-sized warp-capable spacecraft. So what these guys did here, and I will show you here just briefly, in that picture there is basically how it works. Now, I am no physicist or no science person, and I'm not going to claim to be or try to be, but what they did in 1994, there was a Mexican mathematician, and his name is Miguel Alcubierre. We'll just say Alcubierre. He proposed the first mathematical valid solution to the warp drive. More specifically, he outlined a spacecraft propulsion system previously only envisioned in science fiction that can traverse the cosmos above the speed of light without violating currently accepted laws of physics. And that is not one of the top news stories. Our priorities are just whacked. This is like incredible. But we're more worried about Jussie Smollett being guilty. We're only getting dumber. We are only getting dumber over here. We have achievements that are happening in our lifetime that are just amazing, and you're not hearing about them. I mean, shouldn't we be talking about this stuff on the news? I mean, shouldn't our kids know about this? You know, today we had a scientific breakthrough. They created a warp drive bubble that could make spacecraft travel beyond the speed of light. It was never imaginable until today. I mean, come on, man. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? People like me and other YouTube stations, channels, blah, 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 blah. I can't talk today, but I'm trying. We got to talk about this stuff. We got to talk about this stuff. Because the mainstream media isn't. It's not. And that's crazy. That is absolutely crazy. Now, I want to get on the topic of tonight. There's a lot of talk. Lots and lots and lots of talk that are UAPs coming from China. And this goes right into what we talked about with the Congress setting up a new office because they want to make sure that it's not our adversaries. It's not, folks. Yeah, maybe some craft are, but it's not. I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to play you a little interview. It's done by a guy named Victor Hao. He is president of some Chinese university. China is relentless on becoming number one. Relentless, okay? They just launched a hypersonic missile. It went around the Earth 3 times and missed its target by 25 miles, okay? China is building up their military at incredible speeds. They are making bold moves. And there's a lot of parallels I'm seeing, folks. A lot of parallels to 1930s Nazi Germany. That's what we need to be scared about. The ambitions of President Xi's China. He is starting to do some stuff that is Hitler-esque, okay? And I mean, look, facts, man. I mean, what they're doing over there in Taiwan is just, it's crazy. They are flying fighter jets. They're flying fighter jets over the Taiwan every day. They are making very, very bold threats. But I want to get into something else. China does not possess this technology. They do not. If China possessed this technology, we'd all be speaking Mandarin right now, okay? Facts. Trump card. I'm going to play you an interview. This is an interview that the Victor Hao guy did with Australia News. I'm just going to play you here part 1, okay?
Victor Gao is the Vice President of the Centre for China and Globalisation and Chair Professor of Suzhou University in China. He was also once a translator for the former Chinese leader Deng Xiaoping. He joins me now from Beijing. It's nice to have you with us. I wanted to first of all just get your view on how you saw this submarine announcement.
Well, first of all, up to this point, Australia is part of the nuclear-free South Pacific. And I think this is actually a great value to the people in Australia. Now, armed with nuclear submarine to be produced locally in Australia, unfortunately, Australia and the Australians will lose that privileged status, meaning armed with nuclear submarine, Australia itself will be a target for possible nuclear attacks in the future.
Can I just stop you there? Can I just stop you there, Victor? Australia will be a target for nuclear attack from whom?
You do not need to know whom it will be, but as a logic, no one wants to target any nuclear-free zone, which now includes Australia.
Australia has said it will not be carrying nuclear weapons. These are nuclear-powered submarines, as indeed China has. But we're not talking about nuclear weapons. So how is it a target?
Listen, do you really believe you can trust what Washington or even what London say? I would say the watershed moment will be if Australia is armed with nuclear submarines to be locally produced in Australia. Australia will lose that privilege of not being targeted with nuclear weapons by other countries. And that should be the wake-up call for the Australians, the 23 million Australians. Do you really want to be a target in a possible nuclear war, or you want to be free from nuclear menace going forward?
All right. Reason I played you guys that interview, I want you to see how China is. I want you to see their aggression. I want you to see how they're speaking to other countries who are doing something that they might not like. I mean, Australia built a nuclear submarine, and now they're threatening to nuke them. And then they're, 24 million American Australians, you're taking their right away to not be nuked. So what they're doing is they're flexing their muscles and they're saying, no. If you have anything nuclear, we're gonna nuke you. Starting to sound like Hitler. They are starting to act like Nazi Germany, folks. My great grandmother was a full-blooded Cherokee Indian, and she was a jewelry maker. She made like purses and did all sorts of cool stuff on the reservation, but she was also a healer. And she told my dad and my grandmom for many years that the Chinese were going to take over the world. And my oh my, it's looking like that's going to happen. But I don't want to get too far off topic here. We really need to be worried about China, but does China possess the technology of these UAPs? Of the phenomenon that our fighter pilots are seeing, that we're seeing, that regular pilots, commercial airline pilots are seeing? No. If they did, we would be speaking Mandarin. It would be the biggest flex ever. Now, think about it. These craft are able to go undetected. They're able to not be seen, and I'm talking not be detected by radar, not be seen. They're able to go invisible. They're able to fly over our missile silos and shut them down. I mean, trump card, guys. If they had the tech, that would be trump card. They could build a bunch of these craft, send them to our nukes, sit them right above, shut all of our nukes down and bomb the hell out of us. This is not Chinese. Matter of fact, China is having problems with the UAP phenomenon. They too, specifically in the China's newspaper, the Morning Star, did an article that they're using artificial intelligence to track and investigate UAPs. And coincidentally, they're using that same phrase, UAPs. It makes me wonder. When we go and we're dealing with an issue that involves all of mankind, not just us Americans, all of mankind, terminologies change. I mean, I don't know if it's just like, okay, well, everybody's going to start using UAPs, or the world's, who knows? But it makes you wonder, like, is there a group of people from every country that just get together in secret and come up with a plan moving forward of what they're going to allow, what they're not going to allow, what they're allowed to say? I mean, think about it. No country, not one country, has come forward and said, yep, aliens are real. Think about that. Wouldn't you want to be the first? Wouldn't you want to be the first country? Really flex? Oh man, we have this technology, we have this craft. There has to be some sort of ruling group of people that make decisions for what the world is allowed to know. On Goofon's show the other night, and shout out to Goofon, great show. He did a whole show on this, and it really does make you wonder. Who is really calling the shots internationally? No country. Not one has come out and said, we are not alone. We have the proof. And if you listen to Lou Elizondo, apparently Italy has a crash disk and they let the United States have it or see it or something. I mean, come on. There is some group that is calling the shots. I will bet my butt on it. I will bet my butt. I'm trying not to cuss. But, you know, the verbiage that gets used in these bills when we're trying to get legislation passed to have some, you know, answers. We need answers. But we're not getting them. This time has come. The time has come for us to start knowing the truth. Now, am I saying to go and dump it all on us all at once? No. This is too deep of a subject. This is like, you know, paradigm shifting stuff here, guys. But this technology that people are seeing is not coming from China. It is not coming from Russia. Is there craft that is maybe 6th gen capable flying around that could be owned by China? Absolutely. But China steals all of their intellectual property from us. Case in point, the J-20 is modeled exactly after the F-22. The J-15 exactly after the F-35. We had the C-17 Globetrotter, I think it's what it's called, or Globe something, World Master something. They built the same thing. You know why? Because they had a spy that worked with one of these companies and they stole the technology and they modeled it right after it. But the problem is they can't build engines. They cannot build engines. Their jets are running an old Russian, just like a 3rd, 4th generation engine that they're putting in jets. So our F-22s and F-35s would smoke them any day of the week. But the reason I'm bringing this up is if they can't build an engine from the technology that they've stolen from us to match our fighters, do you really think they're building UFOs that could go undetected and fly over missile silos and shut our nukes down? Absolutely not. No way in hell. Because, again, we would be speaking Mandarin. Facts. They can't... Look, they are one of the biggest importers of our superconductors on the planet because they can't build them. China steals all of its stuff from us. They always have, they will. Now, I'll tell you where they are exceeding. They're starting to exceed us in the 5G network system, okay? They are beating us there. They beat us with a hypersonic missile, and we're all hyping it up and hoorah-rah. I think it's to get funding for some sort of a new defense system. I don't know, but I'm sure that we've had stuff that goes hypersonic for a long time, especially if we have reverse-engineered UFOs. We got some stuff that is probably pretty badass. If the TR-3B is owned by us, that right there is a game changer. And that's why I think the United States is a world power, because they know we have this technology. We are on the forefront of all of it. And I think other countries bring their crashed wreckage to us. That's just my opinion. Now, I'm not saying every country does that. I'm sure China and Russia, I'm sure that they covet those things. North Korea and you know, our adversaries. But as far as China owning the tech, absolutely not. There's no way. Again, we're looking at China now that are many parallels between this China and 30s Nazi Germany. Lots. And that's scary. We better pray to God they never get this technology. Because if they do, they are not as scared to throw threats and threaten nuclear war and this and that. And they're very cunning. Very cunning. Well, it would be very it would be a whole different game if China had this technology. It would be. It most undoubtedly would be a different game. Well, I am crazy tired. I have been dealing with a really serious health issue, and it really makes me fatigued and tired. So we're going to cut this one a little short, but we're going to come back tomorrow. We got a really cool topic. We're going to start looking at some famous UFO incidents that occurred, and we're going to go over some of my favorites tomorrow. Falcon Lake incident is probably by far one of my favorite UFO cases of all time. And then we're going to go over some ones that you probably have never heard of. And that's going to be fun. So, like, share, subscribe. Oh, also, we're going to do an Ask Me Anything with Dead Bob. It's going to be freaking fun. And I am interviewing a secret space insider. He claims he was Corey Good's commanding officer. And this is going to be really funny. You guys are going to get a kick out of this. It's really, really funny. Like, share, subscribe. Anything else? Nope. Good night, everybody.